Well, the hour being 6 o'clock, I'll call this agenda and priorities meeting to order. This November 2nd, 2020. First thing on the agenda is the agenda, any additions or deletions?
Yes, Your Worship. 3.4, ECC update, please.
Okay. Anything else for consideration? If not, would someone like to move we adopt? The agenda is amended.
I'll move it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor? Carried, thank you. First thing on the item, projects and priorities. Mr. CEO, Mr. Becker.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yeah, just want to walk council through the list of strategic priorities. There may be some missing. We have worked against the structure, nice formatting temporarily. We'll make sure we move back and align it into your 4-year plan, just so you can see it in that format based on I think 8 different strategies that you selected, move towards back and upon your election win and becoming of council. So I'm going to ask staff. I may ask staff to provide any updates on some of these items. Again, if you have any questions, just please interrupt. And again, some are not even in action, some are listed out, and there may be some missing, and you can direct administration leading into the budget if there's items that we should be looking at a little bit closer as we go into the budget process, which we're long into it administratively, but we're not long into it that we cannot adjust our priorities. So I'll just walk through. So residential developments from private landowners, some discussion with private landowners over the last several years, but Hazelwood lots, stakeholder engagement and incentive discussion. So right now, they're on your action control sheet as well as the incentives. Administration will be talking about those that I'm bringing that onto council here probably in the next 3 weeks or so, I'd say. So I'll just continue on unless you please just stop me, please. Service satisfaction survey, and the intent there was to move in and tie in, engage in the community prior to budget, part of a engagement process where you seek through benchmarking, even over a 2-year period, every 2 years, gather information from the community regarding their feedback on the different services that we offer. We have not advanced that as a priority, but it stays as on the list at this given time. Railway safety plan. I know that one, we're conducting a review. We have a meeting this week administratively, and that's still in the works, coming probably over the next month or so, Steve, roughly. Okay. Recreation and facilities planning. We're really busy on the recreation side of things with the pool modernization plan. And then on the list in the budget is the aquatic center area washrooms that may tie in to that. Well, it does tie into that discussion. There is some work in developing a multi-use facility concept plan and tie in those projects into one singular conversation. Support field assessment as well, which there was some discussion with the users last week. That report coming to council likely towards the end of November, if not early December. The North Area Plan, the idea there was to conduct some planning, more specifically, and part of it is the Dodds land, to pay for some higher end planning, which will help the landowner and any future developers understand what the community vision is for that land. Then we recoup those costs back as development occurs over time. Just helps expedite the process for planning. Highway 2 East planning, that's through the intermunicipal planning with Red Deer County for just, again, higher end planning on the east side of Highway 2. And that's to be coming back in short order, well, soon, let's say.
Yeah, we
Okay.
before we get both councils together
Okay.
again, I would think.
Okay. Industrial park development, so of course 61st is complete. There is some design work being conducted for 37th Road development. That information will come to you for budget to see if you would like to advance that project with some detailed costs of what that would undertake. So the planning's done, whether it's a priority based on what else is on your list, we'll see how that proceeds. Of course, the emergency surge pond is also part of discussion with SRD. That's part of our work as well. The MDP, Municipal Development Plan, it's a 2007 document, so they try to range in the 5-year area for review. So we're quite advanced on the time for the MDP. So again, depends on budget and what's that dictates. Perhaps it's in there. We'll find out, but it's getting close to being time for that review. The IDP ties back into number 6. I'd say just on some, do we do a full advanced IDP review update, or can we just chunk off the certain areas to be updated, deemed appropriate by the committee as well as the two councils? Age-friendly strategic action plan, likely going to see a little bit of discussion on this now that we've made some adjustments based on your approval for age-friendly support with the community services or FCSS. So we'll see how that plays. That individual that's going to help, and that is, she starts into next week. So again, that's likely to be some discussion on age-friendly. Heliports, compatibility review and needs assessments. We're coming back to council next Monday with the full reporting and just seeking council's direction with all that information together and see how you'd like to proceed. One area we have not advanced, although several of you have mentioned we should, and I'm certainly failing to take that advice, but the internal media public relations workshop, likely something would occur ideally upon election. If it's my own view, it might be getting a little bit late, but certainly if you would like to advance into training, we can certainly move into that. But for sure, with new council, that's something, first quarter, there should be some training in relation to media and how you engage the best you can for the local issues and questions from media. Tourism ambassador training. Some of these areas are being kind of put on aside based on developing a plan. Capacity would be an issue to advance some of these, but as council wishes to advance into the ECDEV strategy and draft, once the community can kind of get their hands on that, that kind of work would occur at that given time. Also, council annual reports. So some communities are going into higher end gloss council annual report. Again, just the challenge, like making that a priority. Is it a priority? So yeah, and how significant of a report that would look like. We want to make sure that you council, as you proceed into your final year and advancing into your end of your last year, we want to make sure that the strat plan outlines all the wins, successes that you achieved to use as your own report card as you advance and kind of look back in the mirror on what you've done over the last 4 years, which is, you'll be quite surprised the amount of work you've conducted. Website redevelopment, that is coming to you. I think it's a peak. It'll be looked at towards the end of November, but that's part of your economic development strategy. Regional tourism guide, again, some marketing, a list of marketing ideas, but we have not advanced into those areas. Youth engagement strategy, again, is very, very light. We talked last week about the Youth Advisory Committee, and there's likely some discussion around youth engagement strategy. I guess few positive steps is the appointment of 2 youth to council committees, one to the policing committee, one to the community services standing committee. The regional economic developments, again, that's through Stewart. There's been some engagement through discussions with Red Deer County, but there's been no definite regional economic development strategies formulated with any stakeholders. from a local government perspective. There has been some neat regional I guess, alignments with such things as Innisfail growers and other regional partners, but pretty loose in that regard. Diversified integrated marketing plan, again, that's going to follow out with the 13 Ways Economic Development Plan on how to proceed on the marketing side. Stakeholder engagement plan says something over the course of the last 3 years, a significant amount of stakeholder engagement, but right now there's not been really any plans forward. Likely it will be a recommendation from administration once we have the plan for the economic development plan presented to you. You may want to start having some FaceTime with some of our key stakeholders in the community just to get their feedback and buy into council's vision. Building up support networks for business community, really a general statement, but it does tie back into the plan that just building some capacity on supporting local business. Agritourism, again, promotion of local foods in the culinary sector. Energy reduction strategies. So as projects come up, we look at potential energy opportunities. I put in just a bullet there, refocus to energy management plan, more of a strategic plan than a corner of the desk, but be more deliberate on energy management, as it's going to be an important savings for our operations with that kind of focus. Southwest commercial site and residential zoned area. That's just north of Field and Forge. And again, we've had significant conversations about that area, but nothing as of recent. Promotion of underutilized parking areas and review opportunity for new parking areas in the downtown. So potentially address in the future DT. Downtown planning. That makes sense, thanks. I was thinking destination something, but planning or wayfinding. Facility sponsorship programs. Again, we've advanced on the skate park. And Megan, are you able to just report on the status of that sponsorship program?
Yeah, I can give you a bit of a rundown, or do you want to give the?
Yeah, I
Or
can.
Stuart, sorry.
Maybe, do you want me to go?
Yes, please.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Yeah, just as per Todd's comments, we're continuing to advance our sponsorship opportunities of the skate park facility. To date, I think we've generated about $5,600 worth of sponsorship. So we are still in the early stages of drumming up that interest, but those opportunities are available nonetheless.
Thanks, Stuart. The Dawes Lake Area Recreation Plan, I think there's a little bit of work being had on that. And Steve, Megan, roughly when is that expected to come?
So we just received concepts last week, so we'll have comments back to them, so, sorry. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, yeah, so hopefully by probably the tail end of November, we would have something for council to look at.
Thank you. Support and grow local events. Again, that's outlined in the direct dev strategy, and clear understanding that events are important for downtown, but for the community as a whole. Cultural master plan, there hasn't been any action on the cultural master plan. Age-friendly action plan, we talked about that briefly. That's expecting some discussion. Social asset mapping was part of the council's original strat plan. Again, no definite or defined focus on that project on social asset mapping, but certainly was listed. Asset management plan is really a key focus of administration. It's advanced into, I know, operations, finance, but I think the next stage is to move it into the other components of the organization. Sustainability reports. So we talked briefly administratively about kind of taking what we've done so far regarding sustainability and put into a clean, easy format to help even potentially marketing of the community. 13 Ways project implementation, you're updated on that recently, and that's likely to come to council formally towards the end of November. Also to tie into that is the event strategy, as well as the internal branding implementation. Also further down the road would be retail attraction strategy, resident welcome package, tourism video, tourism electronic newsletter. So those are all items need to be bundled together based on a focus and a plan. Joint use agreement renewal, it's slated for an update. 2021 is it's due. So we'll be engaging with the school division, I think just the one school division, just to see what that looks like. Tourism brochure, marketing plan. Of course, the 2021 municipal election, I know bylaws are coming in December regarding 2021 municipal election. So work's already started on the 2021 council orientation, just through some information gathering. Also, we heard from operations through Steve on the lead pipe replacement initiative. That's likely more of a focus come spring. 20 to 22 to 20 to 26 council strategic plan. So I'd like to talk to you in the next little bit about advising into next council on the importance and even securing a potential consultant to, as per my recommendation, to have an external come in and help new council with the priorities and strat planning and advancing. I think it's a worthwhile exercise, and these companies do book quickly, so I wouldn't mind talking, get your feedback in the near future on that. The Gateway landscaping plan, of course, going into phase 2, likely would be in the budget. We'll see what that looks like. Quality management plan, that's for council's direction to advance our inspections and so forth regarding fire. So we need to figure out how do we best do that and resources required to make that happen. Enforcement services review, I'm in that process. The idea of priority-based budgeting, brought it up loosely as an idea, something to discuss as a priority to see if it fits with the needs of the organization, community, and council's vision. The implementation, sort of following the adoption of the budget, to be the unrolling out immediately the 2021 capital plan through engineering work and design, etc. Cemetery plan adoption, again, just when would that be expected to come back in?
So I've just been working with Ken to get some of the marketing materials to get some of the information out to the public, hopefully throughout November. So either before Christmas or shortly thereafter, we would hope to have that all wrapped up and the bylaw changed and finished.
And then the wayfinding signage phase 3. So again, this is not to indicate this is what we're doing. This is some of it. These are long ways into action, but it's just to kind of give you a listing of what's in motion, what is not, and just start your thought process of anything that's missing that you may wish to provide guidance to administration to apply to the 2021 budget. So again, tonight's not so much the night you need to decide priorities, it's a start of. I think if we can continue having a chat and we can put administration into motion with research as required, but still a pretty extensive list. So adding more, again, we just need to have an honest conversation about how do we advance certain things and what can we do within that final year of your term and into 2021. So I'll take any questions or feedback or comments.
Any questions of Mr. Becker?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, through to CAO Becker. Regarding the railway safety plan, the advertisement that came out in the Albertan last week, there was, I think, 6 or 7 crossings. And I've had a number of calls and questions around what, is that just part of the public engagement process or what was the intent there? Because it's created a bit of a no train whistle, we want train whistles, it's created that kind of stir out there, so.
Yeah, so as per the update that I gave to council in regards to the motion to allow us to notify the public about the process that's required, and part of that process is just notification that we are looking at whistle sensation to try to achieve it. Then the next step, what we've done is we've actually done the contacting of organizations and associations that are associated with doing whistle sensation, so we've gone through that process now. We will come back to council on the 23rd, I believe, for, again, council resolution to, again, proceed now with whistle sensation now that we've done all the notifications, and so far we haven't heard any, we have got no feedback. So what we do is we just wait. If we get any feedback, we'll present it to you. If we get no feedback, I'm assuming likely it'll be proceed, and then that procedure is really, it goes to CP Rail for formal notification.
So who are the organizations that you're going to be contacting?
It was a list of 23 organizations ranging from locomotive engineer associations to unions to everybody. It was an exhaustive list that took Allison quite a while, which was part of the long process. And that's what we wait for now. Any feedback from them is kind of what CP Rail, I think, waits for. And then we kind of start the formal process with CP Rail after that.
Okay, thank you.
Your Worship, through to CEO Becker, wondering if we could maybe do a review at some point on kind of industrial land inventory. And I know we've got the southwest area, but you know, we're a ways away from that coming on stream, and just kind of like to know where we sit other than that. And you know, maybe we should be looking at something where potential servicing to some other property or something. And
For sure, Councillor Barclay, we can have that likely ready for the budget process, just
Okay.
provide that overview
Yeah.
of that inventory.
I think even commercial too, like where we're seeing downtown filling up quite well, and spaces at Henday Mall, et cetera. And I'm not sure if we could reach out to maybe somebody like Daryl Hillman to maybe provide an update of where things are at with that and leasing space. And then also curious, since you don't have enough things on the list, about 57th Street and the road on the east side of the park where the community gardens are, about potential surfacing or something.
Your Worship, Councillor Barclay, I do know that it's our intent to come back to you with some dates potentially to go through the capital alone to get your feedback on the priorities, kind of off-site. And last year we went to the fire hall and we went through the listing and started getting your priorities collectively as council. Yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely put those items on that agenda.
I have one question, C.L. Becker. What's left in the phase 3 of the wayfinding signage?
Yeah, I believe, Your Worship, it's trailhead signage.
Okay.
I think there's the odd sign as well that requires changing, but I think the majority would be.
I can, I guess, give you, so we haven't determined the full scope of the phase 3. So part of the trail master plan is listed off a number of
Okay.
items to list off there or to tackle. So we're still determining the exact scope of phase three. Just due to a list of things that have come up, one being our playground naming is one, obviously trailhead signage. So again, I think it'll come back to council in regards to what you believe. Probably, we'll list off some priorities of what we believe, but it'll go from there in regards to budget.
Okay, that's all I have. Any other questions? Councillor Bates?
Yeah, just, it might be an interesting exercise before we do the prioritizing to just go down that list and have you guys add up how many of them weren't there last year? Because you can assume there'll be that many more happen next year. I just find that interesting. And then can wait for the prioritizing, but one of the ones it's mentioned is the school in Hazelwood area. I think if we think back here recently, we've had some concerns about 56th, I guess it is. I'm terrible with it. I think the access to Hazelwood is a situation that'll probably arise before the school, in my opinion, but yeah, just throwing that out there.
I agree. Okay, any other questions? Should be able to cover all this stuff next year. But I do agree with Councillor Barkley that even that whole corner up there has been neglected. There's one street there that isn't even paved, and a residential street, and we might have check that out. But I'm sure Stephen has already had a look at it. But anyways, any no further questions? Would someone like to move we accept this report for information?
I'd so move, your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Moving on, it appears that Councillor Barkley has a report for us.
Yeah, I do, Your Worship. Thank you. I'm sure everyone's aware of the robbery that took place downtown Innisfail a couple of weeks ago and the vandalism that happened probably along every business on the north side of the street. I had a visit with Garth Ingham to, first of all, see how they were doing and then kind of talk about what happened. And this isn't to criticize the RCMP, what they're doing, not doing, et cetera, but just to, I think, bring some awareness to council. And they had a security firm call at just after 4 o'clock in the morning. And because they'd been through this before, they rushed down to the store. They were there within 10 minutes. And the front window was smashed out. The crystal in the front window was all smashed. The case where the citizen watches were smashed. There then had to be a second call to 911. And the response was, we don't come when the robbery is not in progress. So there was quite a delay between the time they got there and the time an officer finally showed up. Probably about 90 minutes from what I understand. The officer, I think when they arrived, kind of said, well, there's not that much of a crime scene here. I'll, kind of took a few notes and then came back the next day to do a full police report. And then Garth got word a few days ago that there were some citizen watches on Kijiji, and so he phoned the detachment to talk to the officer that had attended the scene and was told he was away till Wednesday, leave a voicemail. And this was on a Monday, so he did. And when I spoke with Garth on Thursday, he still hadn't received a call back from that officer. So I know the last police report we've seen them a lot of progress that they've made and doing a lot of good things in a lot of the areas, but I'm wondering if we can maybe revisit, have a discussion with Staff Sergeant Matichuk again, kind of about plugging that hole somehow between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning. I know we've spoke about it before in the past, and we haven't really pushed it. I don't know how much we can do, but I would sure like to have a discussion with him if that's possible to kind of see how we can maybe change things around a bit.
Councillor Barkley, I would think that our police committee would get involved in that, would they not, too? Mr. Becker, would you?
I think there's a few options council can consider. I think you certainly need to tie in the committee. So you can, council as a whole, can undertake the engagement with RCMP. You are the holders of the contracts. Certainly want to encourage you to respect the advisory role of the committee. So you can do it yourself with committee representation, or you can assign it to the committee. So it's really up to council. Yeah, so both ways are appropriate in my opinion. Just which way would you like to move forward?
Yeah.
I certainly think the police committee should be involved at some capacity, but I would also like council to be around the table as well, because I think we know the history the last 3 or 4 years and the discussions that we've had around, security firms and trying to plug some holes in the community. And I don't think it's just a one-off solution where, it's more officers or whatever. I think it's more of a holistic solution that we need to look at. But there's some pretty frustrated people downtown right now. There's windows that have been etched and $1,600 bills for replacing glass. And of course, nobody's going to do that. Garth is paying, this is out of his pocket, this robbery. It's almost $20,000. And it's not going through insurance. So he was closed for COVID for a couple of months, and now this happens. So, it's pretty tough on our small business owners. And I would like to, for us to proceed in having a meeting with Staff Sergeant Matichuk when he's available.
So with that, perhaps all council, and maybe put to the 2 policing committee reps to pull in your chair, vice chair, into an engagement with council and RCMP. Would that be appropriate based on what you guys would think? You don't want to leave them short, but.
Absolutely, I would agree.
Yeah, I would support that.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Barkley, for that.
So maybe just, this is important action. It's a big issue. So maybe a motion so at least it's captured under action control. Likely in the word into council and representatives of the policing committee, Police and Safe Communities Committee, engage with RCMP to discuss community crime.
Okay, well, I will make a motion then that council and representatives from the policing committee meet with representatives from RCMP to discuss community crime.
Thank you. Further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. All right, moving on to 2020 waste update. Megan, Manager, Community Planning.
All right, thank you. We just wanted to provide an update to council on where we're at with solid waste stats as you guys go into budget, and if there's any decisions or changes that need to be made. Yeah, I don't think this thing, it doesn't work. Oh yeah, it does. Sweet. Okay, so one of council's strategic priorities when you first came on was to divert solid waste from the landfill, with the goals associated with that to be reduced waste generated through diversion, education, and innovation, and to reduce our organizational costs associated with waste collection. So it's been about 18 months since our major service changes with our new contractor moving to 3 days a week collection, as well as automated carts for organics and waste. We have expanded options at the transfer station this year, including new e-waste and cooking oil. And there were also changes made to the acceptable materials for recycling. We were able to go back to the 1 to 7 plastics, started being accepted, actually I think since it was early July, because recycling service was suspended due to COVID-19 from March 30th to July the 6th. So as we get into some of the stats, we'll see that may be a factor in some of that. So late last year, we went through a similar presentation as this, and there were some goals set out with what we were going to do in 2020. So education was the big thing, and that will continue to be our focus with trying to encourage people more and more to utilize their organics and recycling carts to try to reduce the amount of waste headed to the landfill. So that is ongoing and has been good. The green cart usage survey, so we have been doing that periodically, and you'll see some of the results further down in the presentation, where we've gone out and essentially picked some sample areas in the community and gone out the morning of organics collection and just counted out of 100 houses how many have their green carts out. So we have a bit of a statistic in terms of the percentage of people utilizing their green carts. Glass recycling drop-off points was another suggestion. So currently we haven't made any progress on that. We're still collecting glass only at the transfer station. Organics carts at town facilities. So we do now utilize a green cart here at the town office. So all of our food waste from the kitchen, as well as paper towels from the washrooms, all go into that organics cart. So hopefully we can maybe expand that to some of our other facilities in 2021. One of our goals was to celebrate Waste Reduction Week as well, which was just a couple weeks ago, third week in October. And I think we'll try to continue to build on that initiative in future years. I think there'd be opportunity. We did get some feedback and interest from the schools looking at those types of things. So hopefully when we're able to be a little bit more out and about, we might get a little more momentum on that. Garbage-free February is something that maybe we'll look at in the new year. It's another education promotion just to get people thinking about how much waste they're producing within their households. And then the final one was looking at diversion options for institutional, so schools, churches, multifamily businesses, those sorts of things. Maybe looking at some pilot projects, whether it's the schools or those that could perhaps start utilizing green organics carts or that type of thing. So we've had a busy year, and I think we're making progress. So just a recap on how our waste collection numbers work. Essentially for each of our 3 waste streams, we pay a per household fee, and then a total fee per tonnage or per ton. So waste and garbage, we pay $80 per ton, recycling $125, and then organics is $35 a ton. So the more people we can get to use their organics carts, the more we're saving. So here's the stats for residential organics year over year. So and these are all to the end of September, the stats. So doing well. This would be the first year that we would have had full 12 months of organics collection. So it is to be expected that we would be up on our tonnage there. So that's good to see. This is the results of the household surveys. So basically you're going up, that's percentages. So in February, just shy of 20% of households had their green carts out. When we did our survey, March was a little better, particularly in the Tuesday garbage collection. I'm not sure who's a Tuesday. June, again, we saw big jumps in the usage of the green carts. And then October was still decent. So we're hoping that we can keep monitoring that and start to see a bit more of an uptake on the usage of those green carts, particularly as we get into the winter months and get out of the sort of lawn clipping season. So previously we had talked a little bit about considering moving the winter bi-weekly organics collection to a monthly organics collection. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of stats on that. Based on the usage of the carts and the tonnage, on bi-weekly winter collection, we're averaging about 18 pounds of organics waste in the cart that's being picked up each time. So there's definitely potential that even the people who are utilizing their green carts, they probably have ample space within those carts if they were to go to a monthly collection. Monthly collection would save approximately $3,000 a month. Over the 6-month winter season would be an overall $18,000 savings. So just something for council to keep in mind if that's a service level change that you think is worth pursuing. Today was the first day or the first week that we're going back to bi-weekly right now. So this is the first week that organics won't be collected.
Just a question, your worship, to Megan.
Yeah.
Is that an option within our current contract that we would be able to make such a change like that? Obviously, that would be maybe a pretty big impact to their service provider. Is that something that we could actually implement, or is that something we'd have to wait for contract renewal?
We could approach them and see what their situation is in terms of workloads and that sort of thing. But we will be, we have one more year. We're essentially halfway through the contract with them right now, so it could be something to look at for the future year. But just again, the way we're changing to bi-weekly right now, so even looking at next year, we'd probably want to be making that decision sooner than later.
Okay, thank you.
Your worship. So I have a couple of questions. Right on this chart here, do they weigh each cart with a scale right on the truck, or do they just calculate it?
We just get a total weight ticket for the truck when it goes to dump. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my calculation based on the number of carts being used and the total tonnage.
And I'm still convinced that it's information, education is so key. So we kind of skipped over celebrate the success in October. Maybe we could celebrate it late and get another round of information out. I think it would be good. And I actually mowed my lawn today and then phoned in to find out if it was going to be picked up, because I knew there was this discussion was coming, and I couldn't remember when we switched to winter. So again, there'll no doubt be people put their carts out this week. I'm pretty sure quite a few will, and wonder why they weren't picked up.
Yeah.
So the more information, again, the better we can do.
So I guess just for the sake of discussion, one of the, social media and the town voice is kind of the primary way that we're communicating. Is there other ways that council could see being more effective? Always open for ideas.
Well, I didn't see it because I haven't looked. The stats that you just showed, like the monthly stats and how we've improved and usage, is that on our site?
We don't have that posted anywhere, no. We have done a few sort of, guess what, we saved this many tons.
So like I say, maybe we
yeah.
could do a late celebration in November of our success.
Okay.
And because tons of people are really interested in doing the right thing. I know they are.
Through to
Megan?
me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. Nope.
Through to Megan then, when you're doing these, do they actually, when they're giving us their charges for the week or the month, do they actually charge us for how many bins are out there or how many they actually dumped? Like, is it calculated, or
No.
Like if I don't put my bin out this week, am I saving any money for the town? That's just based
No.
on what's out there,
No,
right?
we pay on the number of households, whether or not anybody puts their card out, we still pay for that
Okay,
collection.
that's what I assumed. I just wanted
Yeah.
to clarify that. Thanks.
So through to Megan, do you do any education at the schools? Megan, like you?
We haven't directly, when we went to tour at E360 there, we talked a bit with them about going into the schools and, you know, looking at waste profiles, that sort of thing. But yeah, we haven't.
Just think
again.
sometimes when you start there with the kids, right? The kids make mom and dad
Oh,
do
certainly.
a better job.
And we've had feedback from some of the teachers, even on
Okay.
some of the waste reduction week, the food waste challenge, a couple of teachers that were keen on that. And so hopefully if we can get, you know, opportunities to get into the schools a bit, maybe that's an option to push it. Cause yeah, the kids, it's
They
just
get
the
it.
natural
Yeah, they
thing
get
to
it.
do.
Yeah. And I also wonder maybe going forward, you know, next year when the contract comes up, going back to what Councillor Rehberger said, I don't know if there's any chance of, you know, kind of having different ways of paying. Like personally, I can say I would put my garbage bin out once a month as opposed to once a week. And also, is there any possibility of getting a recycle bin? And would that cut the cost? Like recycling is so expensive. Is that because it's manual? Or
It's not,
Okay.
which is surprising. I can go back to the slide that had the costs. So it's only a few cents different per household actually for the manual collection still.
I meant the per ton.
Oh yeah, the per ton
$125
is definitely
per
more
ton.
expensive. It's $125 a ton for recycling versus 80 for garbage. So
So why is that?
they have to sort it, I think, is part of it. So there's that added processing component to it. And then sometimes they're able to resell it, so they're making some money off of that part. In terms of your other question with options for saving or encouraging people different ways, there are definitely technological options that I've seen things in different FCM webinars and stuff like that, where either it does weigh each household, so if you're putting out more, or if you don't put your cart out, you don't pay for that collection period, so that, you know, helps to incentivize utilizing less. Most of that ends up on the cost on the technology, just to be able to you know, scan the carts. All the carts are equipped with the RFID, so they can be identified though.
Yeah, Your Worship, through to Megan. With that eco-growth tour, there was quite a few interesting things, but the one that really jumped out at me was the K-Cups. And they collect, do we put our K-Cups in the organics now, or is that?
You
in
can
the
dump the coffee out of the
coffee grains?
K-cups.
That's actually what we do, and I just wanted to make sure, but, the eco-growth collects K-Cups from Van Hout and other places, and they actually separate it and put it to use and energy and stuff. And I'm not sure if we're ready for another program at this particular point, you know, as we're just adopting this, but I guess the reason I bring it up is maybe, you know, in your travels or if you're talking to eco-growth, and I think it's a huge thing because there's so many K-Cups that could be getting, it seems small, but I think it's big. So just something to keep in mind, that I think there might be something there that if we can get it, because they're looking for business, eco-growth, and, you know, anyway, just wanted to throw that out there, that I think it's a lot bigger than we realize.
So we'll skip back up to recycling. So recycling tonnage to the end of September, we do look like we're projected to equal or exceed our 2019 tonnage, which is good because we were not taking any recycling there for April, May, June. So I'm going to take that as a positive in terms of the trend for recycling numbers. I suspect when you look at this trend from 2016, 2017, that back then we were getting a lot of glass in the recycling tonnage as well. So that's why we've seen the numbers sort of come down in the last couple of years. Then for residential waste, we're down a bit, but probably projecting to the end of the year we'll be at or exceeding where we were last year. But again, we were taking all of the recycling for that 3-month period in the waste stream as well. So in terms of the waste carts, again, just did a little bit of math on that. So yeah, we're projecting to exceed 2019 by approximately 215 tons. Sort of the conversation on service levels for waste collection would be the consideration of going to biweekly garbage collection, and what those savings would be in terms of our overall annual costs. So I don't know if we're ready yet to go to biweekly garbage, but it is a trend in lots of communities. And when I know I talk to people even around the office, and some of them say, "Oh no, there's no way I could go 2 weeks with my garbage bin," and then there's other people that say they could go for a month. So on average, based on my calculations, it's about 22 pounds of garbage is what's in most people's carts per week. So that suggests that most people could go 2 weeks, but just for council to have on their radar in terms of where those savings could be, or where those service level adjustments would probably go. And then at the transfer station, revenue's down, but probably by the end of the year we'll be close to last year. Still a little more on the cost side than the revenue side, but not horrendous, and it seems to be narrowing over the past couple of years, which is a good trend. Town facilities were way down on the costs for collections at the town facilities. Some of that is the new contract. They seem to be a bit more efficient and a little less expensive on our facilities, but also many of our facilities were closed or operating at lower capacity for a good chunk of the last few months. So that's our town facilities. For 2021 for targets, again, hopefully continuing to see positive trends and really staying on the education and promotion front. The more you can get the message out and more people attempting to utilize their recycling and organic streams, the better. And yeah, we'll keep trying to push some of those educational promotions through the Waste Reduction Week, Garbage Free February, any kind of information we can get out, and like Councillor Bates mentioned, we'll try to get more of those our statistics to help people see that we are keeping track and that we're making a little bit of a difference. So I won't jump the gun to that, sorry. Any other questions or comments?
So kind of a funny question, but I question the fact that we don't put sawdust into the compost. I double checked on your list to make sure that I was reading it right. And when I Googled it, it'll say that you shouldn't put sawdust in your compost at home because it'll overload it with carbon. But I couldn't understand why 5 or 10 gallons in my bin would affect an operation the size of Stickman's, and it's quite heavy, like it adds up. So I'm wondering why it's not, why we're saying not to.
Okay.
Not to, so.
I can confirm with Stickland's if that's a straight
Yeah, I
up
just,
that they said.
because I read the list twice and I thought, wow, and then I started to second guess myself and I couldn't
Okay.
decide where to put it, but I threw it out in the garbage.
Well, it's certainly friendly for landfill.
Your worship, I have one comment too. I'm not sure if it would be something in public, but I think that all the folks in this room should celebrate the success of the carts. If you think back at all the resistance and the doom and gloom and the news, and it was but it's been great, I think. If you look at the reduction in crows, and I don't see anybody saying they can't get their cart to the front and all this other stuff, or to the back, or wherever I think it's been very successful, and I think feels good that we had that success.
And no other questions? Thank you, Megan. That was a great report. Would you like to move that we accept this report for information?
I so move.
Thank you, Councilor Reber. All in favor of the motion? Carried. CAO Becker, you have a new item, ECC?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I failed to put this on the agenda, but just an update on council's questions regarding the arena operations. I know there was some discussion in the last council meeting, some questions. I met with staff on site, had a discussion, and right now through cooperation between the users and the town, it's the decision, it's supported by all. The user groups, that is, to maintain the locked door, certainly have flexibility based on the phone number and anybody adjacent to the door. We're not secured to let people in based on their ability to come back in. So also that the tables will be adjusted according to the weather. So if it gets colder, and just adjusting as we go along. So yeah, somebody from the user group could open the door based on somebody needing to go to their vehicle. It's not that military, it's flexibility, but it's certainly a cooperation from the users. And Trish confirmed there's no pushback from the users. They want to maintain the current status of the log door at this given time. So if there's any questions to that regard.
I was going to say something about the U.S. Election tomorrow, and it depends, I think, on who gets in and whether there's going to be lockdown or not. But anyways, I think it's important that the users are happy with it and working with it, and it's, I think, the best we can do. Okay, would someone like to move we accept CEO's report for ECC?
I so move, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Hill, all in favor? Carried, thank you. You want to do a quick roundtable? You got anything, Councillor Hill?
Yes, Your Worship. As a lot of us know, we had the Eco Growth opportunity to go check out and see what they got going on there. And for me, it was pretty remarkable how you can go from selling rugs to cleaning rugs to what they're doing today. So it's pretty wild. I probably wouldn't have believed much of without seeing pictures or being there in firsthand. It was pretty remarkable how they can reuse byproducts to heat, to make efficiencies, to save a lot of dollars or profit a lot of dollars, however you want to view that. But I really enjoyed that tour, and I think it's a little futuristic potentially for some municipalities, but I definitely see that technology coming in handy down the road in a not too distant future.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, that was a very great tour of the Eco Growth, and yeah, that's what I did last week, and have MTC tomorrow, and I don't have a whole lot more to report.
Okay, Councillor Carrot.
Yeah, I found the Eco Growth Tour very informative as well, and echo those remarks, and then MPC tomorrow.
Councillor Barkley.
Have MPC tomorrow, and also I believe AU May has a waste to energy webinar coming up. Is that this week, Todd? Do you know? Anybody know? Megan? No?
I don't know offhand.
Yeah. I think I registered for it, I just don't remember where it is, and I don't have my phone in front of me, but,
Councillor Reber.
I also enjoyed the tour in Calgary. It was quite educational, and I questioned their source of the type of herbs they're growing there. They could probably be more profitable ones that they could grow, but it's pretty efficient. And I have the, where am I going? Historical Village meeting on Wednesday.
Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also attended the Eco Growth Tour. Very enlightening. Just echo the comments of my colleagues. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I was very disappointed I couldn't go, but I was not feeling too well that morning, so. But I'm going to be busy with this SRD and in regards, we've got a meeting on Thursday to discuss SRD's approach to the situation on the lagoon. I'm hoping we can come to get that resolved in some way, shape, or form here. But anyways, I think that's it, unless we quickly around the room, anything? Stephen? No, Heather?
Just transportation meeting tomorrow at 3.
Okay. Stuart? No? Megan? Nothing? Vanessa? Nothing? CEO?
I had an email this morning from MLA Dreesen's office, seeing
yeah.
if council can engage with MLA next Monday at 9:30 or 10. I confirmed that you would be available. Kind of took that leap because of the difficulty to connect in to the schedules. Certainly would, maybe over the next few days, any agenda items that we could advance forward that you may want to give advance notice about, that'd be appropriate. So at 9:30 or 10 here next Monday.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess next, I'd entertain a motion to go in camera.
Your Worship, I would move that we move in camera.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. All in favor? Carried. Take a 1 minute break. 2 maybe.
Time's up. The worst part about that whole tour was
I didn't even see you guys sneak in, Steve.